In the recent few months, we've been witnessing the fact that Pakistan is going through some turmoil, some kind of an economic crisis. But this economic crisis has been doubled by a bigger problem that Pakistan is facing. It's called the TTP or Tehreek-e-Taliban of Pakistan. What exactly is the situation between Pakistan and Afghanistan? What is this TTP and will Pakistan end itself, or is the stint of Pakistan as an independent nation is over? And most importantly, what would be the impacts of this on the Indian subcontinent? All of this we will speak about in this particular video, so stay tuned with us until the video ends. Pakistan is going through a lot of crisis, a lot of problems, a lot of stress. This can be attributed to the political instability that the nation has been facing since the beginning of times. As you're aware, Pakistan has witnessed several military coups and several political establishments not being stable or having direct connections with the terror outfits. This, coupled with improper economic and policy decisions, has caused more chaos in the nation. In the recent times, the changing situation of geopolitics, the Russia-Ukraine problem, the rising inflation, and most importantly, the devastating floods in Pakistan have left millions of people in crisis and poverty and put the nation in further jeopardy. We have observed that the inflation situation in Pakistan has doubled and tripled in the past few months. Several GDP forecasts also predict that Pakistan's GDP is going to crash to a further decline of about 2 to 3%. Now, what is this particular problem, or how is this problem doubled up? Now, we have to understand that Afghanistan, which is currently engulfed in the Taliban crisis, or Afghan has been completely taken over by Taliban, is a bigger problem for Pakistan. Now, let's get into detail, but before that, let's understand the situation between Afghanistan and Pakistan, the relation between the two nations. The two neighbors have had long-standing relationships since the beginning of times. America used Pakistan as their gateway to Afghanistan because, as you all know, Afghanistan is a landlocked nation and the only way they could reach supplies and military troops to Afghanistan was through Pakistan. So this was a major situation between the two nations. The Karachi port was used as a method to supply food commodities or any other products, and of course the Pakistani air bases in the borders of Afghanistan supported US in order to launch their attacks into Afghan terror outfits. The two nations obviously share a geographical, geopolitical, economical and cultural relationships. We also have to understand that Pakistan allowed the creation of organizations like Mujahideen, Al-Qaeda and the Taliban, which Pakistan even proclaims that they were the heroes who could allow the growth and development of this particular culture. Pakistan did not condemn the Taliban capturing Afghanistan, and the Prime Minister of that point in time, Imran Khan, called this a celebration and said that this is the way Afghanistan is breaking out of its own slavery problems. Many people in the Pakistani government were pro Taliban and supported this particular decision. Now, what has been a bigger problem for the two nations? What is the bone of contention? Let's get into detail and understand that there is an organization called Tehreek-e-Taliban of Pakistan, or TTP, that has launched more and more attacks in the region of Pakistan, particularly certain regions that have been vulnerable to more and more conflicts. Before we go there, let's try to understand that there is a line between Afghanistan and Pakistan, the border between the two nations, which we call as the Durand Line or Durand Line, which was drawn by the British. Now, you all know that British were known for their whims and fancies of drawing borders, not just in the Asian continent, but also in Africa. Here also, they drew this line in such a wonderful and a haphazard manner that it divided one of the most prominent communities of that particular region, that is the Pashtun tribe. Now, this Pashtun tribe is one of the most dominant tribes in Afghanistan, but a lot of their families also live in the Pakistan thanks to this Durand Line that was drawn. Keeping that aside, this line, which was of course not fenced or guarded, was an open entry and exit point for Afghanis. This allowed the Afghan rebels or terrorists to move to Pakistan freely in case they suffered any kind of attack, if they suffered any kind of threat, and to just relax, spend some time in Pakistan, and again go back to Afghanistan and fight against the American troops. This line also allowed the safety of the Afghan rebels, and it allowed them to come and settle in Pakistan, progress from the economic and social point of view because they kept their families in Pakistan thanks to this line. They even invested in Pakistani infrastructure. Historically, this line caused a conflict because of the Pashtun population, because once Pakistan decided that this line will be guarded and fenced, this became a problem for the people of Afghanistan because they could not go to Pakistan anymore and they could not meet their families. Keeping this backdrop in mind, let's talk about Tehreek-e-Taliban of Pakistan, or TTP, that was formed. Of course, this was a byproduct of the US invasion of Afghanistan. This was one of the most important terror organizations for Pakistan. Their aim is very, very similar to Taliban. How Taliban wanted to gain control of Afghanistan and to establish a full-fledged official government of Afghanistan, the TTP also aims to do the same thing in Pakistan. They want to capture Pakistan, they want to oust the ruling government, the official constitution, and to rule Pakistan with the Shariat law. It's simple, the TTP and the Taliban are allies. Their new target is the government of Pakistan, which is quite obviously not able to handle the nation very, very well. This is a terrorist organization officially declared by the Pakistani government. Let's come to the bigger bone of conflict, the region called FATA, F-A-T-A, which is Federally Administered Tribal Areas region on the northwestern part of Pakistan. If you look at this region, it consists of different tribes, be it Arabs, Uzbeks, Punjabis, so on and so forth. This was not a region that was controlled by the government. This was a semi-autonomous region. Now, due to this semi-autonomous nature of this particular region, it became an important hiring ground for Taliban or Tehreek-e-Taliban to hire the people because they needed manpower, and these people were unemployed, these tribes who lived there. Many who worked in the Taliban are now a part of the TTP as they moved easily from Afghanistan to FATA region thanks to the porous border. In the recent time, the Pakistani government included this FATA region into Pakistan in a region called the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa region. Now, when this was done, the TTP could not control itself and caused a wider uproar, bombing different parts of Pakistan, predominantly the parts of FATA itself. The region became the main hiding spot and the breeding ground for TTP today to fight against the Pakistani army through the support of its main ally, the Taliban in Afghanistan. The situation is such that the terror attacks have become more prevalent in Pakistan since the game changed in Afghanistan. Now, you can just observe how Pakistan celebrated this whole thing, but their own ideas and their own gameplay have turned against them. From 190 incidents of terror attacks per year in 2020, this situation has reached to 300 plus in 2022. Majorly seen in the FATA region, these terror attacks have caused a big situation in Pakistan, which has of course added to the economic crisis because nobody is ready to invest in Pakistan, nobody is ready to provide an impetus to their growth because any other day there will be any other terror attack and there can be a bigger problem. TTP has also formed a parallel government in Pakistan with several ministerial portfolios and policies. Basically, the situation is such that it's completely out of hand for Pakistan and Shehbaz Sharif government to take control. They've even called for a confrontation. This was a very major step because a full-fledged functioning country calling upon a terror organization to speak to them, to negotiate with them is a very tricky situation. But yes, this negotiation did not result in anything concrete and the situation remains the same. The terror situation remains the same, the financial situation remains the same, and so many such problems are persistent in this particular region. Now, this brings me to the last point. What is India's situation and what will be the way forward for the country? India stands at a very tricky place because it's one of the most prominent neighbors is under peril. The TTP situation in Pakistan can soon trickle down to any part of our border, and of course the Kashmir can become more and more vulnerable in such situation. India can be facing a potential threat from the TTP. So it's always better to have a stable neighbor than have an unstable neighbor who is offering bigger threats. So in the later times, if India plans to support Pakistan or give some aid to Pakistan, do not lose your calm because it is better to have a stable neighbor. And this will of course we can expect Pakistani cooperation in future scenarios, and of course this can be used as an opportunity to curb the Chinese influence in Pakistan and exert our own influence in the region. India can potentially put an end to the two-phase threat it has been facing, that is combined efforts of Pakistan and China. So will Pakistan be able to curb this situation with strategies? Will China support it? Will US support it? Will India support it? It's a very tricky diplomatic and international scenario that we are seeing, but one thing India can learn from this is that political stability provided with or coupled with prudent decision making is always important for a nation to thrive and survive. If you liked our content, press the like button. Don't forget to subscribe to News Hamster. Stay tuned for more such content ahead. Thank you so much.